it's already time to have a look at the month ahead. Can you believe that November is already upon us? It's that time of the year when everything starts going a little bit crazy. So we need to have a look at what's ahead for us all in the month ahead, so we can see whether it's you going crazy as well, and of course what to expect from all the usual shenanigans in the government, politics and the world out there. Well, it does look like the stars have been playing out as we expected. Even if you read my book Your Stars, which was published late last year, talking about what's ahead in the months of 2018, you'll see that we actually did have some advance warning about what's been going on in the Ministry of Finance. And that, of course, was the increasing problems leading to the resignation of former Finance Minister Natle Nene. We did actually make a prediction about that, where I said last month and last year, for last month, that someone in the high up in the government will face increasing problems and eventually come a cropper in some way. It could have been the president, and it needs to be said that the chart continues to show the kind of pressure on the president that we are seeing. You know, with Nene's revelations about his meetings with the Guptas, there was a certain amount of inquiry about what's the president going to do, and fortunately Nene, being an honourable servant of the country, did choose to fall on his sword and do what was the right thing on his own. But we of course have the situation where there are a number of severely compromised members of Cyril Ramaphosa's government, as well as of his administration, that's the SARS administration, where he continues to do nothing in the face of mounting pressure, especially Ministers Dlamini and Mokonyane and the other clearly corrupt officials who continue to occupy his government. There have been a lot of calls for him to do something, and we all see him doing nothing, and we will see that continuing pressure, but it doesn't look like anything is about to happen in that regard. Astrologically, it looks like Ramaphosa is trying to hang in there until perhaps the election, but certainly until early next year. In the run-up to the election, it's going to be extremely dangerous for whatever changes might have to happen, but by then the pressure is strong. As it stands astrologically, the pressure, or whatever's happening in these governments, is kind of on a more or less even keel until we get into the early months of next year. And in March, April of next year, we should see that pressure reach some kind of a boiling point if nothing has been done of it before then. But suffice to say, for right now, that pressure looks strong, and still not looking like that much is actually changing. With regards to the rest though, the change in our finance ministry and the craziness in the world notwithstanding, it does look increasingly as if the financial situation in this country is stable, and that South Africans continue to feel a certain amount of optimism because of that. There is no doubt that external things like the price of oil and the behavior of the dollar and all of those things have an impact on us, and increasing rising in the petrol price will continue to impact on us. But on the whole, in the midst of claims of a new recession for South Africa and possible uncertainty created by changes in the ministry, and of course the ongoing interest of the financial ratings agencies in possibly downgrading South Africa, all of that notwithstanding, things are looking fairly stable financially, and things are looking fairly positive as South Africans see it. It does look like this month and next month there's some improvements in the markets that at least help restore some confidence although the bigger picture is of course going to wait until we are completely through the election cycle. What does also show in the chart is good news with regards to the sporting world. As I said last year in the book, and as I'm saying now, it does look like a female South African sports star is continuing on the rise and bringing the country back into the international spotlight. I would not be at all surprised if that's our great sporting hero Caster Semenya, and it does look like she might indeed have a really good chance of getting that best international female athlete that she is up for. She has been nominated, and astrologically it looks like she stands a good chance of winning. So as ever, sport is what we're going to see lift us up to international prominence in a good way. Maybe that will encourage our government to keep the ball rolling by continuing to do positive things that bring South Africa into a good light. There's things to be hopeful for. Let's see what's going on in your chart and see if we can see that too. Well, Aries, things have been going better for you of late, and it does look like over the last month you've settled into a much better space than you have been in for quite some time. The important thing is to not get complacent, especially with regards to your relationships, making sure that you're still on the page as to what's good for your partner and what's going on there, because you might be so contented with, now I finally sorted out my stuff, that it's not occurring you to check that everyone is still on the same page as you. Not everyone is an Aries, so maybe your partner also needs a little bit of attention there. But for the most part, things do look like they are going well for you. When you put more concrete things into action, like plans and so on, it might still feel like you're more or less on your own track, not really getting the support that you need or expect. So that's why I do want to remind you that you just need to double check, because your partner may very well be on a different page than you. Not everyone is on the same page. Don't take it personally. Don't take it to heart. In fact, it probably is a better time for you to use your own energies, to use your new enthusiasm that's created by your changed circumstances to get some of your ideas and opportunities into action, because this is the time to make things happen. Other people might stand in your way. Don't let that stand in your way. You might have to make a few unexpected changes. Surprise them. They're all going to be surprised at how well you do this month. Taurus, this month is really about broadening your horizons. You should find that in most areas of your life, things are stable and secure. You might think they're boring and going nowhere, but stability is something you like and security is something you like. And instead of getting all settled and stuck in the mud, as you can easily do in these situations, this is the time to really stretch yourself a little bit, branch out, explore new things, explore new territories and so on. Don't get stuck in your comfort zone. You're there and you can do things that feed it. I mean, if you get a chance to get away for a while or do some fun things or do something that you really like, this is the time to do that. This is the time where your heart's desire is really on the table. So both from the professional point of view and things that really matter, and from the personal point of view, you're going to find it easier to do that and easier to feel as if what you want is really what's happening for once. But don't get too complacent and stuck, because it does look like there are other interesting people, other new people that you might not usually have in your sphere, or who might not usually be associated with what you do. It does look like those new people are going to be helpful, just like your personal reactions that are already in place are going to be a source of great joy and excitement. Don't get stuck. Enjoy this time to expand yourself. Things have also been going well for Geminis, and so well that, not surprisingly, you've got a whole bunch of stuff on your plate, a lot of which is really fun. You're enjoying it, you're probably motivated about it, so it all looks very good. But actually, it's kind of, not unexpectedly, a little bit too much that's on the go. You had a lot of goals at the beginning of this year, but now you've really discovered what's important and what isn't, and you actually need to respond to that. It's time to clear some off that plate of yours and focus on what's really important. And actually, what's probably the most important right now might be the things that are a little bit more boring or trivial than all the exciting fun stuff. Still get a balance. You get bored too easily. You don't want to stick only on the work kind of stuff. But kick things into action. Get them wrapped up. You might need to do a little bit of regrouping and redefining based on what you already have discovered this year. So it's really about sorting out priorities. All those goals brought you to the point of knowing what's really important. Other things have changed to make your relationships much more important this year. It looks like there's a lot of new stability there. So be practical. The relationship is stable. Let me focus on that. Let me sort out the basics that need to be done. I now know what's really important on my plate. Just get that done and don't look for any more excitement. Cancerians usually have everything pretty much under control, but actually it's got a little bit out of hand this month. There seems to be some kind of chaos in your environment, whether it's changes happening in the home or changes happening amongst the people in the home. You actually need to get back down to earth and get a grip. The changes happening in the home always unsettle a Cancerian, but if you're doing anything like renovating or getting a new home or anything like that, it's all good and it's going to end well. But whichever it is, and especially if it's to do with the people in the home or even other people, you seem to be being stretched a little bit thin at the moment. And actually, you are challenging yourself in terms of health. This is not a good time to spread yourself too thin or to stress yourself out in any kind of way. As it is, there's enough on your plate. So if you've been neglecting your health, pay close attention to your body, do the checkups you should have been doing, anything like that. Just get yourself back on top of it and back onto track. A lot of stuff is moving really fast at this time of the year for you, and you just really need to get your priorities in order. And most important, don't lose sense of your own self as priority in all of that. You can't always take care of everyone and their needs and what needs to happen in the house. You actually just need to look for the chance to get a bit of a break or delegate. You know, what are kids for? Get them to do some of the stuff. Leos need to have new things in their lives right now, and luckily there's lots of opportunity for that. One of the most important of those is new people which are in your life at the moment. In fact, if you're willing to just take a little bit of time out from all those important things you want to do, this is a chance for fun, for maybe even taking a holiday, for doing things you love and want to do rather than just all the stuff you have to do. There might even be an opportunity to do something you've really wanted to do for the longest time. And if that's with an existing connection, relationship, old friend, so much the better, but new relationships will also be a bit of an opportunity for that. In terms of the more critical stuff like work, there's also an opportunity to gain from new ideas and input from other people, as well as the new experiences that exposes you to. But you need to listen very carefully and take it very carefully in terms of that input that you're receiving. You need to actually identify what's really going to work for you, because it's like everyone wants to do things for you and everyone wants to help you right now, but it's only you who knows what's really best for you. Remember, new people and different people are great, but don't just assume that because it's new, it's good. Take advantage of opportunities to meet new people and different people, but filter it through what needs to be done for you. Virgos, you might have been avoiding some things at the moment of the last month, and you've probably had good excuses. There have been changes in your life and in your family that you probably could do very little about. But actually, you need to take a bit more control. And that means dealing with what's the problem, what your fears are, dealing with the person who's the problem, confronting when necessary, and even dealing with people who are willing to push back. Don't get involved in any conflict, but you do need to be clear. Don't pull your punches. Your greatest weapon right now is that sharp mind you have, that sharp intellectual ability to analyze and really get to the point. You're probably going to offend someone this month, and you just have to be willing to go there. Calling it like it is something that you're really good at and something that's really going to work for you this month. You're wasting a lot of energy in worrying about it and avoiding and trying to be the nice person. And while that usually works, and while that is often quite a good idea to do, this just isn't one of those times. What's really happening is you're getting an opportunity to wrap up a lot of old stuff. In some ways, there's an ending shown at this time in your life. End of an era, the end of the old ways, and the end of what's been bugging you. So time to stand up for yourself, be a little confrontational, and make sure that you've brought something to a close. You'll be much better off because of that. So Libra, in many ways, what this month is about for you is what do I need versus what do I want, and understanding what's going on in your life with regards to that. You're going to be spending a lot of energy juggling what's necessary, what's not, what will the consequences be, and that's got a lot to do with your relationships. It does look like you're taking a lot into account about what's for you versus what's for the other person as well. And it does seem as if that's the challenge of the balance that you need to find, making sure that pursuing your own needs isn't in some way detrimental to your partner, and sometimes making sure that you're not sacrificing too much. But it really does seem to be about making sure that things are balanced properly and not getting too defensive or demanding about what your needs are. In your professional life is where you can show that stronger, sterner stuff in some way. There might be the need for some confrontation. There might be need to show what you're really capable of. Self-doubt is not something that is a major issue once you get yourself going, but it's that getting yourself going that's often difficult. And it's because you don't want to ruffle any feathers. So what do you need to do in November? Ruffle somebody's feathers. Stand up for what's right and what you need. That's going to make it work. Scorpio, this is one of those times when your natural talent at being sharp, to the point, and a little scary to other people might be on show. And it's a little bit dangerous. It's like walking around with an unsheathed sword. So be careful what you say, because very often right now, you don't even mean to stir anything up. You might be joking, it might be a passing remark. And be careful what you say, because a lot of what you say will be taken too seriously. Still, you can still make use of that to sort things out. This is a time to cut to the chase and get to the point if you're walking around with a sword. Mr. Ramaphosa, are you listening? This is the time. You need to get to the bottom of things, Scorpio, and that is something that you do best. There's been too much that's standing in the way, and now's the time to get to the bottom. Your relationships, though, can provide a lot of space and relief from all of this. There's so much going on in your life that you actually might be challenged to be spending more time with your relationship. Don't let your personal life suffer. You can either just be spending more time with loved ones, or maybe using an opportunity to deal with some unnecessary stuff that's between you or hanging over you. Kind of time to clear the air. Something is not serious as it's ended up seemingly, and you can dispel the problem if you're just willing to spit it out. So go there. This is the time to change it. Being patient and being focused are not things that Sagittarians traditionally do very much of or do very well. But that is what you're going to need to be doing this month, because the other very typical Sagittarian thing is that there is way too much on your plate. Quite frankly, you're going to need someone else's help to get on top of that. So you need to rely on friends or others around you to actually stay on your track. In order to do that, you're going to have to let them in. Step down, step back in some kind of a way. If there are any issues of pride, let go of those completely. More important, issues of patience, because patience is not something you're very good at all. Basically, your own bad habits are getting in your way, and you're going to have to concede them in order for other people to be able to help you. So be willing to take advice, be willing to say yes, and kind of do what you're told in the nicest possible way. The same is not true in your relationship life, fortunately for you. But what is important in your relationship life is that you need to say what's bothering you. There is something bothering you. It doesn't look like you're doing much about it or saying anything. And that unspoken something can itself become a bit of an obstacle in the relationship. It doesn't need to be. Just get it out there. Clear the air. Capricorns also have too much on their plates right now, and also a typical characteristic of yours. Actually, at this time, you're also going to need to be a little bit more focused. You don't need advice or input from other people, but there might need to be some fresh faces and fresh ideas in order for you to get some of your goals more on track. More importantly is to eliminate baggage. It looks in your horoscope that you've been doing kind of too much carrying of other people's stuff. You've been highly considerate of someone or holding things back because of fear of how that might affect someone else, and you actually need to let go of that right now. You might be worried about how others can react, and it's possible that you're going to get some bad reactions at the moment, but you do need to go ahead. Things are working well at work. Your plan should easily unfold if you take the opportunity to actually get something into action and stop carrying around everyone else's stuff or the too much of stuff that you are carrying around for yourself. New faces, like I said, also great in your personal life right now. In your relationships, you might find that you're feeling a little bit possessed and need a little bit of space from your partner. Don't get too much space, just ease up a little bit and get things back into an easy keel. And new friends are quite significant and make new interesting relationships in your life. For some, maybe even a romantic one. Aquarians are all about doing what's right for the world and doing what's right for others and society and all those big ideas, and it looks like you're going to have some opportunities to actually kick some of those into action, because one of the biggest challenges in your sign is not being all talk and no action. Well, this is the month for getting into action, and you'll find that there's help and opportunity to really make other people benefit and for your efforts to be appreciated by other people. There are still some personal goals that need attention. It doesn't mean you should give everything up for everyone else. In fact, you might even have to act with some leadership where your own goals and your own ideas can help other people come along. This is a good time to show your authority, to show your knowledge, to make a difference in other people's lives, but in a way that also gives you the opportunity to pursue some of your own goals. You might even need a little bit of assertiveness and forcefulness so that everyone sticks to the plan. It's all great that you're all loving and everyone's groovy and all of that, but in order to get this done and to have the big effect you want, you might need to put your foot down. In your personal relationships, that's when to get a break. This is a time to kind of get away from it all, run away from it all, fly away from it all, get yourself some space. If you're not involved in a relationship, stay that way for a while. If you are, just get a bit of a breather, get some time on your own doing things that you like to do with yourself. We'll be back to regular next month. You know, Pisces, admin has never been your thing, and life and work are full of it, and before the year comes to an end you actually need to get your act together and get on top of it. This is a great time for wrapping things up and doing the admin that's been neglected, because it's not only going to be I've done the chores I should have done, but actually there's a significant gain to be made by tying up some unfinished business or old business or something like that. So what looks like admin is actually going to be something that turns out a lot better for you. So that's why it's worth doing. Think of it as there's a hidden reward in doing all that admin in your life at the moment. It's true for work, and so at work that means trivial stuff needs to be identified and done. You need to take charge and act with a certain amount of leadership, and you're also in a situation where you're going to have to be showing others how to do what needs to be done. So this is a great opportunity to make your mark in your working environment, to create a path that other people will be able to walk on even when you're not following them or leading them or when it's not up to you. In your personal life, don't be complacent. You're avoiding a bit of the admin there too. So doing some of the admin means addressing what's bothering you, bringing some new stuff in, making sure you're tuned into your partner, and in the end setting some goals that you can work on together. Then you're going to be grateful that that admin was finally done. Remember, the purpose of looking at the month ahead or looking at astrology at all is really to give us a better sense of what is the flow, what are the cycles I'm in, what are the cycles of the world right now. Not so that we can sit there and say, okay, well, so I suppose I've got to take it, but more so that we can say, knowing what I know, how can I make better choices? How can I exercise my free will? Which is really the ability to choose our responses to things. It is easier said than done. It often does seem like we're in the grip of fate and karma, and the astrology plays itself out astonishingly accurately. It's no less accurate if we make our own choices to do something different in response to that. Your responses are where your freedom lies. I'll be back next week with a great interview with very well-known psychic Belinda Silbert. You're not going to want to miss that. And of course, at the usual time, 8 p.m. here on Cape Town TV. See you.